Greetings, y'all. All right, this might come off as a little bit of a rant because Oracle is not just in the cards, the Oracle is also in the tongue. So some of the messages may come just out of my mouth, of course. So I'm trying to figure out what to talk about first. um, I actually wasn't going to talk about that series on Amazon Prime by our good bro. What's his name? Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino. I think he co-produced and wrote or directed whatever the series called Swarm on Amazon Prime. I started watching it maybe the last weekend or the weekend before that. Yeah, the weekend before that, and I finally watched the last episode on Sunday. And I knew, like, beforehand, before I even watched it, I was like, what's Swarm? Because I was like, first of all, the funny thing is that the first thing you hear about the show, unfortunately, is the scene with Chloe Bailey and I can't think of the dude's name. I know his last name is Idris or something like that. He's Lori Harvey's current boyfriend. The scene, their sex scene or whatever, right? Everybody was talking about that. And I was, my nasty self was like, I want to see. I want to see. So I looked it up. Of course, they're not going to have that type of shit online. So I'm like, seeing all these people talking about it on TikTok, like, don't watch it. It's demonic. Some people talking about it was whack. And I purposely did not want to watch any like actual reviews or anybody breaking it down. I wanted to watch it for myself. So I watched it and it's very gory, very violent. Okay. And obviously, the main character in the story, she's this fanatical fan of this fictional character or fictional artist slash singer named Nija. And Nija is kind of like a uh, off-brand version of Beyonce, right? And one of her main symbols is the hive, which makes you think of Beyonce and the hive, right? The beehive, as they call it. So there's so many references that like down to like the music videos and um her husband being a rapper, her having given birth to twins, having a famous sister. They show them in the elevator fighting, the whole alleged bite from Sanaa Lathan or whatever that was depicted in there. It was so many different things. And I was like, for one, like I wasn't really getting anything until I wanted to like watch the whole show because I watched it from an entertainment standpoint, but still like there's certain things that will come up and I'm like, okay, this is weird. You see certain things. So when I finally finished it, and one of my one of my sisters, shout out to her, she was on the phone with me when I was watching it, and she's like, you should do a reading on it. I don't know if I'm gonna do a reading on the show itself. Maybe I'll figure it out. So I'm gonna start with the celebrity idol worship and rituals part of this first. Pull on it, see what I get, and then I'm gonna talk about the real thing here, like the pharaohs and all. I'm gonna get to that in a second or in a while. So this might be a lengthy reading. Um, but yeah, I was kind of disturbed by the ending of that show. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. And Childish Gambino, he said that he left the ending of the show that way because he wanted to leave it up to the viewer to decide what the reality of the ending was, right? And it was very disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, disappointing from the standpoint of I wanted um, the girl to get arrested. I was kind of in my Karen state. Like, I want this heifer to go to, like, I want her to get arrested. And that didn't happen. So I don't mean to spoil it if you want to watch it. But I was like, I don't like how this ended. But then again, I'm like, maybe she was just delusional. Who knows? So the whole show, to me, on a surface level, definitely is showing the dangers of idol worship, specifically worshiping a human being. Celebrities are just human beings. So the girl was so obsessed and invested and was murderous and, you know, over anybody that did not like this artist. She was heavily like disassociated, this like little uh slow in her, like she was very immature and kind of like mentally not all the way gathered. Like her age, she wasn't fully mentally her age, right? She's like 14 years old in her mind. Like, so her sister, her foster sister was Chloe, played by Chloe Bailey. And in the first five, maybe less than first 5 minutes of the opening of the show, she's getting her back blown out by this guy, her boyfriend in the show, which was whatever Lori Harvey's current boyfriend's name is, whatever his name is. And I'm watching the show. Their show, I don't want to spoil it for you, so if you want to watch it and all of that, you might want to click off because I have to explain this part of the show to make what was revealed to me, the revelation that I got from this connected to celebrity worship and the rituals and stuff like that. Chloe Bailey commits suicide in the show. So her sister, the main character, walks in and finds her sister lying on the bed, dead, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they continue to keep her character in the show like flashbacks. So the sister would go back and watch like videos of them going to the Niger concert, or her sister like hyping her up and talking to her for this whole pursuit to get to this celebrity, like this Beyonce figure in this movie or this show. So I'm like, okay, they didn't really take her character off because you were thinking like, okay, that's it for her character. Like she was only in one episode, but no, they like had like flashbacks and stuff of her throughout the show. So towards the end, when the girl finally accomplishes her goal, the artist Nija's face starts to form into her sister Marissa, which is played by Chloe Bailey. So the main character's name is Dre, and she finally accomplishes this goal. And at the end, she sees her sister's face on Nija, the Beyonce like character. So we already know, like, entertainment wise, if you even follow Beyonce or you follow Chloe Bailey, or maybe not even follow them, but just like, you know, you might, like any social media person, you might look at blogs and stuff like that. The Beyonce comparisons and her being Chloe's mentor, that was weird to me. From some things that I've researched, the whole rituals that entertainers do where they have like a rebirth type of ritual where they're depicting like a death or something like that, or they're depicting themselves in bathtubs and stuff like that, typically is like the opposite of baptism. It's the opposite because they usually do it in blood. They do these bath rituals like photo shoots or whatever in blood, or they do it with jewelry, hence Tupac, Janae Aiko. I'm just saying, it is what it is. Who else? Eminem had a blood bath. I think Rihanna had a blood ritual. I can't remember. They have different rituals that they do from what I've researched. So that whole death scene with Chloe Bailey, I feel like was a ritual within itself. And I'm not going to skip over this sex scene because they really hyped that up. That was the biggest thing that was hyped. So that little sex scene that they had with her and the dude or whatever, that was her being broken in. Like that to me, like especially the position that they were in, not to get too graphic, but they was doing the doggy, okay? So that was her being broken in. Her dying on the show was a death ritual. And her at the end of the show forming into Nyjah, to me, was a metaphor of her as being kind of put in that position of a Beyonce. Now, I don't know, that sounds kind of crazy, but to go back to what I was saying, so I'm not going to be surprised if she does have a major, massive career. Like right now, it doesn't really seem like musically she's really having the success maybe that people was hyping it up to be as far as the Beyonce comparison. Not yet, maybe. That type of stuff doesn't come easy. Like when people reference, oh, I pay my dues, right? You hear celebrities say that a lot. Pay their dues could be rituals. You know, this is all alleged. This is my opinion. And like I said, like things that I've researched and stuff like that, um, paying dues is rituals versus people that really truly pay their dues in life and society by going through their own initiation which they create through their creator versus man-made rituals and doing um all this foreign crazy demonic shit or just foolish shit, right? To get ahead or to be placed on a platform or a pedestal and to have their name out there and all of that. So I felt like that within itself was a ritual for her, as an entertainer or whatever else she plans on doing. Another thing that bothered me was how many murder scenes there were and how easy it was for it was very graphic. Like this girl would just black out and just in a second would just like how easy it was for her to do it, and it was very, very graphic. So the desensitization was there with that. um the whole LGBT thing as well. They at the end of the show, she changes her identity throughout the show to, get to her, get to the artist. She has to go through different people in the show and all of that. She has a fake name, fake A-list. She was a stripper and all. She was like determined to get to who she needed to get to, kill who she needed to kill. If anybody said anything bad about her sister, said anything bad about this Niger character, she was after them, right? She was doing whatever she had to do. And what I say by the LGBT thing, I'm not saying that I'm not here to shame anybody's sexuality. I feel like for young people, allow them, and this is my opinion, allow young people and children especially to figure out their life rather than trying to like promote an agenda and encourage kids. Like they don't know nothing about that. So when I was a kid, and I'm sure everybody's parents was very, very adamant about us not being exposed to sex, okay? Period. So why is this any different? Someone's sexuality now can be deemed as an identity, and the problem with that is you're teaching kids this sexuality that you're promoting as an identity, and they're going to have to ask that question of what's gay, what's this, what's that. So I felt she was most herself when she was in that kind of like that lesbian stud look. She fell in love with this girl at the last episode. She fell in love with this girl and she was like in a relationship. They shown her interacting with men throughout the show, and she did end up having sex with a couple of them, but it was like not intimate. It was more so like feeding her ego or to get ahead to get to this artist. So that never really was explained why she didn't have intimate, like a real true intimacy with male characters. So that whole again agenda, they have to do that. They have to have an agenda. Agendas, whether it's sexuality, whether it's violence, whether it's racism, there's always some type of agenda in these shows, right? So anyway, fast forward. I feel like, because I've seen it before, I've been attacked a lot when I do like celebrity readings and stuff like that, and I have a whole other channel. When I would say something that people don't like, you're automatically a hater. And this is like what really scares me about human beings. Like you don't know these people from a can of paint. You can identify with their artistry, maybe their vibe, but at the same time they're entertainers. So you don't really know these people like that. You don't know them. And some of them you're just a bag. Like I don't understand how certain artists, or not just music artists, maybe actors or whatever, they can be very problematic. They can have very kind of like this, it's kind of like this God complex. And I blame us as a society for doing that, to treat other people like peasants because your tax bracket or your financial, status is a bit higher than the average person and all of that. And I've always said this, that I feel like the desire to be famous is a demonic concept. Why? Because you want to be glorified. You want to be, that's like Satan, like that's Lucifer type of ideology. You want to be glorified. You want to be exalted higher than your creator. Like that to me that's demonic. So anybody that desires to be famous, there's a difference between wanting to share your artistry and do what you love to do and travel and meet people and express yourself creatively, but to have this thing where you have to have 10 million people screaming your name, idolizing you, following your every move, that some people don't want that with fame. That might be the least favorite thing, is the fact that everybody's knowing your business and watching you and things like that. But as far as that need for people to see you and praise you and validate you, to glorify you, is a demonic concept to me. And on a lower scale, we do it through social media, like everyday average people. We have to constantly be seen, be noticed, look at me, and it's a narcissism. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the word narcissist comes from a Greek god that was in love with his own image. And that sounds very much like a Lucifer type of vibe to it. So not to get too far into that, but I want to pull on it and see like what is the whole like the agenda with that. Is what I'm picking up spot on as far as the agenda, the rituals. Got the Two of Wands. Let's see, Holy Spirit. Four of Wands. Nine of Wands. What's with all these wands? Three of Cups. The Lovers, Queen of Cups, and the High Priestess. I do feel like for some of you, like those of you that get where I'm coming from, because this message can go over people's heads as like nonsense. And not to say that you have to agree with what I'm saying and what I'm saying, but people love their celebrities. You can't tell them nothing. You can't. You know what I mean? I do feel hive mind. When I look at this Four of Wands and the Three of Cups, I think of hive minded energy. You're going to have a split between people that are not in that realm of thinking, or that follow the leader, follow the cult type of thing, because monkey see, monkey do, right? And that could be with anything. Like that could be in the spiritual community. That could be in this whole dating culture now. Everybody is like, it's this gender war that's going on in the dating scene culture. There's so many different things like where people are hive minded. So I do feel like that is another metaphor for that show as well, not just from an entertainment or celebrity worship in a sense, but hive minded and as a collective in different ways. Does that make sense? Because there's not one way to be spiritual. Like some people paint spirituality to be yoga and chakras and rainbows and butterflies and tarot cards. Spirituality is, it just is, right? So how you express yourself as a spiritual being is spirituality. All these other things, there are spiritual conduits, but they're not your identity. There's not one way to be spiritual. So that could be a hive mind mentality as well. Like I said, the dating culture, all women are this and women need to submit. And, on the other side, there's some women that agree with that. There's the, people call it the pick-me's. And then you have the so-called feminist movement, or you have the LGBT. There's so much energy of separation on the planet. And I feel with this represents that hive-minded energy. I'm trying to figure out why this High Priestess and Queen of Cups is here, because it's giving something with prophecy, but it's not coming to me right off the bat. The Lovers to me is also an energy of separation in this instance, and the Two of Wands can be that split between dimensions of energy, or people that go take the left-handed path versus those that walk the right-handed path, right? Let me clarify this. This Queen of Cups, she has all these coins or pentacles on her side, which is interesting. Let me see. What is this? What is Chloe Bailey's zodiac sign? Let me see. I need to Google it. Is she a Cancer? Let me see. Yep, she's Cancer. I felt that. Yep, makes sense. It's her energy. Seven of Wands. So, whoever else, if y'all a tarot reader, y'all can tell me what you're getting, or you're already intuitive. You can tell me if this is what you're picking up too. But Seven of Wands, I feel like is that paid the dues. The High Priestess can also represent the occult. Can also be initiation as well. This is just what I'm getting. So that's what I'm getting. Influence. Yeah, that's what it's about. And you see how they have the depiction of Adam and Eve and the serpent in the garden being depicted here, eating the apple. There was a scene on there where Dre was at a party. Dre is the main character, the female character. She went to a party, and the Beyonce character was there partying. And I think she picked up a plum or something. She picked up some type of fruit off of a tray, and she was in this trance, like staring at the artist, like in awe that she was there in front of her. And then she bites it, and then the music cuts off. And then everybody's like, oh my God, who bit Naja? Oh my God, who bit her? And when I look back on it, it kind of feels like something with the forbidden fruit. I got to go back and watch what happened after that scene, like what kind of mental state she was in after the fact. She was still on a mission to still meet her and all of that. So that was still the thing. But yeah, this energy of temptation too. What is the effect of this show on the collective, the programming? Because every show is a program. It's called programming for a reason. Drama. This is Mercury in Leo. Let me clarify this. What is this energy? Restlessness. After a while, I feel like some of these like writers and TV shows, they're starting to like, they have to go back to the drawing board, because there's something about, and some of them, they might be restless for the very fact that it's almost like these artists are, they have to put out certain things. Like some of it does come from their creative consciousness, their creative mind, and some of it is like kind of given certain agendas to put in their shows. I don't know. It could even be a slight bit of restriction on creativity. I don't know why I'm getting this, or it could be like those that are not at the highest level as far as entertainment goes, or the big wigs, the gatekeepers and all of that, like people that are just, you know, kind of at that lower level, not fully up there yet. There's still a restriction on creative ability. I hope I'm making sense with that. And you have publicity. So this show is for publicity, not just for like the hype of the show, but for a specific person. If y'all catch my drift. I don't know why I thought Chloe Bailey to be a Leo. I don't know if she's born close to Leo season, because she's a Cancer, and I don't know if it's like the cusp of that. Because I always thought she was a Leo. I don't know why until I looked at these cards and I'm like, this is Cancer energy. So I had to look it up. She's Cancer. But yeah, this is a part of her come up. Now that's the only thing that I could see as far as the ritualistic aspect of it. But as far as programming and all of that and desensitization, that's pretty clear. And also the message, the divine message in that show was revealing and exposing the high-mindedness of the collective, not just when it comes to entertainers and things like that. So that's what I'm getting. If anybody else has a take on that, you can leave it in the comments. Manipulation. And this looks like looks like your good bro, what's his name, Aleister Crowley. Let me see if I can. No, I don't think it's him. What's the other dude's name? Let me see. That picture looks just like it. I think, no, it might not be him. What's that dude's name? Oh my God, let me see. It's not Aleister Crowley, I don't think. It could be. I don't know if it's a younger picture of him that I was seeing. Let me see. I could be wrong. Let me see. I don't know if it's him or somebody. If somebody knows in the comments, like, don't be shy, y'all. Y'all can comment. I don't know who's on here, but y'all awfully silent, which is not like my girls. Because I'm seeing somebody with an Egyptian, like, attire. Hey. Hey, Paige. Yeah, it's him. This is him. Yep. Look at this picture. Can I blow this up? Let me see if I can blow this up. This is him. I know I ain't tripping. I know what I be seeing. This is him. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. I love these cards when I do my celebrity readings because they be going in a little, you know, it goes in a little. This is an underrated deck. I've had this deck for a few years. This is an underrated deck. It's called the Radiant Sun, the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. That's what it's called. It's a very underrated deck. Now moving on to the next topic. Okay. So you guys know that your good boy, Trump Tower, got indicted. And I feel like that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's not even the whole shebang bang. It's not even fully the whole big picture. But it is a prophecy of these pharaohs falling. Y'all remember like a couple years ago, I was picking up that Isaiah 22 and 22 was coming to me. But I think it was a whole chapter of Isaiah 22 within itself that stood out to me, because in that chapter it was talking about how those that were in rulership at that time were being dethroned, that God was causing a judgment upon those people because they weren't doing just with their positions, their power. They were not for the people. So they had to be dethroned. And I told people that this is going to happen in different ways and in different spaces, because those that are meant to take those rightful places are those that are truly for the people, for the collective, that are truly going to do well with these positions that they're given. And it may feel like you're not qualified enough, you're not experienced enough, or you're counting yourself out, but you're going to be called to be a light in dark spaces. Another reference that God was showing me was from this the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. It's like an old movie from the 90s called The Man in the Iron Mask. And it's about two brothers. And one of the babies was put away in a dungeon and one was exalted to be the king. And that king was a fucking ass. He was an asshole to people. He was so like, just like a little brat, right? and was not for the people at all, was not fit to be leader and king. King, the king that was there, I think it was this whole thing where the soldiers in there, they wanted to pay back. One of their sons, I think, got killed or something like that. So they wanted to pay back the father of the twin, I think, one of the twins, or both twins, obviously. But the king that was in the household, they kidnapped him, and they brought the guy, the other twin that was in the dungeon, and groomed him and trained him to be like king, right? To all their customs and structures and things like that. And it was like weird to people that knew the king because he was very polite and very respectful. So people were like shocked by his behavior, and I think they knew that something was off. So fast forward towards the end, they put the evil twin in the dungeon and keeps the other king without the rest of the kingdom knowing what had happened. Just those that were involved, right, knew what happened. So at the end, the commentary is going, and the commentary, whatever, the narrator is talking about how the king, helped the kingdom, and he did this for the people, and he changed London or England and whatever, right? So I kind of get that vibe from that those people that have that type of mentality and energy that are not for the people, just for themselves, right? For the greed and for the fame and the money and the perversion of whatever they're into, right? Into placing those that will do something. So you can give money to a a person that is greedy, is evil, is self-righteous, has a chip on their shoulder, whatever. And you can give money to a person that is humble, to a person that has a kind heart. And that energy is going to be a difference with what they do with that money or what they do with their power. There's a difference in that, right? Y'all ever notice? Hey sis, hey Jamila, have you ever noticed like in the workplace when somebody get a position how some of them act? Like when they get a little position at the job, they start treating everybody like shit, and you know, that's some of like that's some of the people that get power, how they respond versus people when they get in the position, they actually want to do their job right. They actually want to be just. Okay, so it's not being about being a pushover and blowing all your money on your family just because they need some help and all of that, but you are wise in your investment and your energy and you're just with it. So I'm not gonna sit here and be a judge and give a 16-year-old kid that was carrying a little bag of weed 15 years in prison for that because they're black or because they're Mexican or because they're another race other than white. That's not justice. And that's what we have. Like, some, I'm not going to say all are like that, but these positions or these places of any place of authority where people are in rulership and they're not doing well with it, this is just a taste of that. Just a taste. But I feel like it's only going to get worse for those in that type of position, if that makes sense. It's just going to get worse for them, at least. Because you have people, devils, sitting in these spaces, or people that may have trauma, childhood trauma, may have chip on their shoulders. You know what I mean? It's like a dude that wasn't getting no, what in high school or in college, was the nerd, the overlooked one, finally got some money. Now you're what's the, Kevin Samuels, or just could just be a closet homosexual and is not living in their truth and has a low key disdain for a woman, whatever the case may be. But like a person that never had nothing and wants to shit on everybody, get some money, and they're not gonna do right with it. They're just not. They don't have the heart. They don't have the tenacity. So it's like, if you think of it from a larger scale with people in these places and positions, not only are these people that may have had everything handed to them or so thirsty for power and position that they don't care what they do. They don't care. So I want to save some of what I was going to say about this whole gender war thing that I'm sure all of y'all are seeing, like this manosphere content, this, as they call it, a red pill content. Um, Kevin Samuels, Andrew Tate, for some of you that are familiar with those names, and other people that kind of want to mold themselves and model themselves after, follow the footsteps of these people, or have a mindset like that. I'm going to go into that, but I'm going to save that for later. I don't know if that's like a Patreon situation or should I just do it here. I don't know. We'll see. Um, Look, the justice. Where's the justice? Where's the justice? Because there's this rude awakening that's happening. One of my sisters, my spiritual sisters, we talked about this, and she made a very good point. She said that men would lose their mind if it was a rise of the divine feminine in a way where there was a feminine rulership. But Spirit gave me a revelation about that. This isn't about who's better, men versus women. It's not, because that's another form of the collective separation. That's a part of the hive-mindedness, right? That's a part of the causing discord between humanity. So I'm going to save that content later because I'm going to do something on that. I'm going to wait. No, Spirit, wait. I don't want to talk about that yet. Wait a minute now. I don't want to talk about it yet. I want to hold off. There's, for the men, the male collective, and any male identified female. And when I say male identified, meaning a part of that whole toxic masculinity culture, to where they're taking on this toxic masculinity personality, right? I'm not talking about the feminist movement. I'm talking about women that we call in this modern day, we call them pick-meshas or pick-me's, where they want to be chosen or seen and validated by men so bad that they'll take on their ideologies like, I'm different. I'm not like these modern women. I'm not a feminist. You know what I mean? Like they play into that, right? Them. It ain't looking too good for y'all. Women, you might want to stay away from these types of men or trying to be, a part of their crew, their team. Because the Three of Swords and the Five of Wands is violence. They're going to take each other out in whatever way that might mean. I'm not sure. I'm going to be careful with my words. Three of Swords and the Five of Wands is a very dangerous energy. Because what Spirit is doing is, yes, thank you, international misogyny. The Hermit card, I feel like, is a call and a rise for the male collective to either evolve, or you're staying behind and you're going to be your own detriment and detriment to each other alike. Those that want to stay in that old, outdated caveman, toxic masculinity, where a woman is your footstool, and just because you have balls and a penis that you can talk to any woman however you want to, and your money means your value, your high value. No, it doesn't mean that. Your character makes you high value. You ain't got no value. Money doesn't mean shit. We see that right now. Money don't mean shit, really. It doesn't. Your energetic currency, that's expensive. That's invaluable. So they're going to take themselves out. I'm just going to leave it at that. Because the World card, this is the feminine energy. You either get with it or you get lost. I'm the key to life. This Ankh, right? Isn't that what that means? But not only is it just the womb, but it takes two to tango, right? So the unity of male and female, whether you're straight, gay, doesn't matter. Just unity as a collective. That's the key. So it's not about like women being exalted over men, but you gotta respect the creator though. Like the physical vessel of the creator. We are the portal. And it's not to flex, but at the same time it's a flex. Like we give you life. Any real man, like when men, like a man that loves a woman, like y'all can lie all y'all want to. Like my sis one of my sisters says I'm the reason why he gets his hair cut. Like I'm the reason why. Like majority of like your existence is to appeal to a woman, right? And it's not soft if you still have your identity as a man and you're not a simp, meaning a simp doesn't mean loving a woman and being proud of your woman or rooting for her and supporting her and protecting her. That's not simp behavior. What simp behavior is trying to be liked, trying to be accepted by women by being inauthentic. Like, you know, the fake nice guys that, good morning, goddess, good morning, queen, and you know, all that performative shit. Like, we could see through that. Some of us can, at least. Like, we could see through that. And not to say that it's not true that we're not, you know, the queens and we're not beautiful or whatever. It could be, you know, that's a genuine statement. It's true, but the agenda or the intention behind it was fake, right? Paying for, you know, paying for sex. To me, in my opinion, that's simp behavior. I'm sorry, it's simp behavior. Dealing with toxic women, but still putting up with them because you want to prove something, or because she looks good, or because you don't know how to stand up for yourself. There's a difference, right? Versus a woman that truly loves you, that respects herself, that has something going for herself, and you know how to be her compliment and vice versa and honor her. That's not simp behavior. Y'all been taught backwards. That demonic masculinity that y'all operate in, where you think that women are less than and you hate the sight of your woman because she has stretch marks after she gave birth to your children. Like, some of these men are sick. Like, they're really sick. And I think that some of them have a misplaced anger towards women because of some of them I feel like are closeted. And it's given Regina George. Like, some of y'all men out here, y'all wear pink on Wednesday. Like, you hate women. Just admit it. You do. You don't like them. And I'm not even going to get on the black masculine. I'm not going to get into that. But you hate yourself. You hate your own existence. You don't, some of them, because you don't know how to rise to the occasion. You don't know how to evolve. Your soul or your spirit doesn't want to evolve. So instead of doing the soul work, you're taking it out on the very vessel that brought you here. So all this talk about women are this and they need to humble themselves, because you can't take the fact that women are evolving in a way that some of it is toxic. I'm not gonna lie, some of it is toxic. Like that city girl behavior, that's toxic femininity. That's actually feminine, fake, false femininity operating as a toxic masculine. If you really want to be real, like all that F ninjas get money, like that's toxic. Get your money by any means, but it doesn't have to mean that you got to operate in that type of energy or that type of spirit, if that makes sense. So women going out and getting their college degrees or owning their own houses, or saying, you know what, I'm not giving my vagina away to a man that has not earned my respect, that I don't feel safe with, that I don't feel has my best interest or my children's best interest. If you're a single parent, or if you're just a single young woman or an older woman where you decided, you know what, marriage is not for me. I don't see the value in it in this lifetime for me. Until I find a person, a man, or whomever, a lover that is worthy of me, I'm going to seek out my own happiness and live my best life. So all this, oh, you're going to be single forever and you're going to die alone. Some of us is like, okay, it's okay to an extent. Not to say that you should hate men and not want that, because there are good men out there. But when you start setting your standards higher, those that are dusty, those that are low in vibration and they're not ready to evolve as as spiritual beings and as human beings, they're going to they're going to gaslight you, spiritually gaslight you. Like, oh, we're going to go do this. We're going to go over here. Oh, you're going to be by yourself and this and this and that. That's gaslighting. You don't have any more power of authority anymore. That illusion of authority and power that you have, that soft masculinity, soft ass masculinity, where you ain't got no bass in your voice, where you have to yell for someone to respect you, or you have to beat somebody to respect you, or you have to down talk women to respect you. That's soft masculinity. You're not, no, women are not going to respect you. They're not going to feel safe with you. They're not going to desire you. They're not going to get wet for you. They're going to dry up real quick. So this is the thing with all of this. I feel like until the female collective, maybe not as a whole, but for the mass majority, get into that space of evolving into their power, who they are, because in ancient times, the queen was the most revered. Men back then knew better. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this vessel right here. I wouldn't be here in existence. I wouldn't. So in order to stand as two strong pillars and individuals, it's going to take the masculine energy to step to the side, and not step to the side as if they're stepping down off of their throne, but step to the side so that they can allow the feminine to step up and stand right next to them. Period. Yeah, that shift, it's meant, it's that's what it is. Like, this is the new I don't want to say new age, but the new earth, new world, new age, whatever you want to call it, but it's already something that's written. It's already to be, right? From a knight to a king of cups. Y'all been operating in this Five of Wands energy for far too long, and it's not working. It's not going to work. It's not working. So there's a divine judgment. It's kind of like the divine council, if you want to call it, if you will, like the divine council in a divine court or spiritual court. Like, some people are going to start, it's going to be more indictments in the spirit realm with people. Like, come on, like, get yourselves together. Because this is, like, y'all, your own detriment. If you are a male or a woman that's male identified, like, that's detrimental. You're lying to yourself. And the whole need to be a pick-me for a man, that men that don't value you, or the collective of those men that don't value women and they see them as footstools, and you have to be a submissive wife. Submissive does not mean being someone's slave or servant. That's not what it's about. That's not it. Yeah, there's certain things that women, can do that men can't, and there's things that men can do that women can't. That's why we're divine complements. But when it starts becoming a pissing contest, or you're putting your foot on a woman's neck because you want to see her lesser than you want to see her in destitute states, or you tell her like, oh, you ain't doing nothing, you're not worth anything, what are you good for, what do you bring to the table? But then when they're saying to themselves like, well, I have an education, I go, to therapy, I eat healthy, whatever the case may be that makes someone add value to their life, right? Then you start going, oh, nobody cares about that. Y'all trying to be modern. You should be at home cooking and cleaning and all this stuff, right? Like, pick a side. And that's why I say you cannot live for the validation of men. One day they want the big breasts and skinny bodies, and then the next they want the big breasts, big booties, this and that. They want the BBLs, and then the next they're like, no, I want natural women. I don't like nappy hair. But then when you straighten your hair, oh, you don't love yourself. Like, and I'm talking about the black community in that, with that part. But as a whole, they change their mind from the next. So why are you so focused on what the collective of them want, rather than saying, I'm going to love myself, and the person that's for me, they're going to value that. They're going to value that. Like, who cares? Like, that's why I be laughing at some people like, when they say, oh, this person is too fat or they're too skinny, like maybe you don't have a man because you're this or you're that. It's like, please. Seen plenty of people have a man that really genuinely loves them and not fit the beauty standard of what y'all think it is. Like y'all chasing the type. And I love to hear when men complain about, oh, women do this and y'all only want men with money because y'all want to chase that IG model, or you want to chase that look that you've been programmed to like, that standard of beauty that you've been programmed to like for the last 10 years or so. And because that woman is, she ain't in your league, like she's not looking for what you're looking for, but you want that Barbie doll on your arm. And then you're mad and you're talking about all women are like this. That's not true. Just like with women, when they say all men are the same, like, no, you want the broke, dusty, or you want the dude that everybody wants that thinks he's God gifts to women, and you want him to just be faithful to you. He can't. He doesn't have it in him to do it. So you're chasing the wrong. You shouldn't even be chasing anyway. You should just align with what's for you, with who's for you. But until then, it should be about the embetterment of yourself, improving your life and evolving yourself. And I feel like there's a strong collective of women that are doing that, which is why like you see all of this anger. But the anger is coming from the men that are not ready to evolve. They don't know who they are. They don't value their existence. They really don't. They don't value themselves. They really don't. They don't. So you can't cry over that collective of them, because those are the ones that are not ready to evolve. You don't want that. And it may seem like that's all that we're getting and that's all that's available to us and all of that, whether it's my generation or the older generation alike. It might seem like it's scarce out here, but not really, because there's quality. If there's quality women, there's quality men. And when I say quality, I'm not talking about just looks. I'm not talking about just your money and all of that. Your quality is who you are at your core as a person, as an individual. Period. Like, I don't want to talk about this yet, but I'm going to leave it at that because Spirit wanted me to bring it up. They have to be willing to cross that bridge, to evolve and to grow, to level up from the knight to a king. They have to be ready. Like if you look at it from how it's on the table in my, like from my like view, how it's laid out, he has to cross over this water. He has to get to that place, that healthy masculine energy. Because a lot of, let's keep it real, a lot of these men have a lot of displaced anger. They're not mentally sound. They're not spiritually sound. There was another content creator I was looking at this morning, and she stitched in this TikTok video, or I think it was like a podcast or something, like a short. And the guy was like, I'm addicted to fake love, and like where it's just temporary. You know that you and the woman don't really love each other, but it feels like love. And or the woman, you know, she doesn't really care about you like that, but it just feels like it. Like, I'm addicted to that. Why are you addicted to that? Because you're emotionally immature. You're afraid to deal with your emotions. You know that you don't hold the capacity to really love a woman nor receive her love. So you want it, truly you want it, but you'll settle for the counterfeit version of love because it's safer that way. It won't last long. It doesn't really require your soul. It doesn't really require your entire being to show up and participate. That's why. Or you love the idea of a woman that you ultimately know that you don't deserve or you can't have because you're not in the space to receive nor reciprocate nor care or steward a relationship or a woman like that. So you idealize them, and when that bubble, that illusion pops in your face and you get upset, you have that, I keep saying the word displaced, but that's really what it is, that displaced anger and hatred towards that woman. But it's really towards your own self. She's just a reflection and showing you what you're not ready for. That's it. And if you're not ready for it, then instead of being woe is me, I'm not ready for it, and just like let that be that, you'll evolve to better yourself to receive the woman that's meant for you based off of your evolution within yourself, because you want to better yourself, not for somebody else, but for yourself. Like a lot of women are doing now. They're doing the healing work for themselves, for their soul. They've rise to the occasion. Does that mean that we were always perfect or that we are perfect? No. But it's the willingness, it's the integrity, it's the courageousness that it takes to face yourself and do the work, because it's a painful process. It can be painful, but it's also very liberating. And the more you go through that journey of self, the more you love yourself, the more you appreciate yourself, the more you appreciate life. So women, don't settle for less. If you have to be single for a while, it is not a death sentence. Like, it's not. And naturally, you're going to want to, you're going to desire your partner, your mate. You're going to desire to be in that relationship. But what will encourage you, what will motivate you, is saying to yourself that I'm not going to settle until I receive that. And I have the courage to say, even if I've never received that in my lifetime, which I don't want to feed into that, but the courage to say, even if that doesn't happen in my lifetime, am I happy with myself in my life? And if not, how do I get to that place where I truly am happy with myself? I love myself, I love my life, and I love my journey. Because it will make it very easy for you not to settle. It has. Like, I've been single for years and haven't had sex in just about the same time that I've been single, because it's a choice. It's very hard for me to settle. Have I had feelings in between for people and stuff like that? Yes. But when I see that it's not for me, I have to override those weak moments where I get too emotional. Being emotional is not a bad thing, but being over in something is never good, right? So being overly emotional, being emotionally over attached to something with someone that essentially isn't for my highest good, it's not going to be healthy for me, right? So you have to get to that place where you tell yourself, is it worth having a temporary get off moment, have that bust that nut, that orgasm real quick, and just be like, why did I do this? Why am I here? Instead of saying like, okay, no, like, I don't need that. That's a distraction. But y'all do what you want. Like, we're all adults. We're free to do what we want. But I feel like what helps a single person, especially a single woman, because we're emotional beings first, we, and spiritual for one, we are naturally givers. We're naturally nurturers. So we have that tendency to nurture and love the wrong people sometimes, or our emotions or our spiritual self gets attached. But when you start to balance it out, you know how to separate all of that and say, you know what, in my right mind, this man is not worthy of the energy that I have to bring and who I am as a person. You don't have to find value in me if, that's fine. If you're going to say I'm not valuable because I'm chunky, I'm a little thick, or because whatever superficial reason why, all the reason more to even discount you out. You're not the man for me, right? So yeah, some of them don't want, I said that too, sis. Some of them don't want women. They don't. I don't believe that they do. Some of them even want to be women too. So again, it's a misplaced hatred. It's a misplaced worship as well, where at the same time it's like you do desire women, some of them, you do have a bit of a worship thing for them, but it can be misplaced due to the hatred, due to only seeing women as servants and slaves, sex dolls, your chefs, your personal chefs, your mommies, your whatevers, rather than seeing a woman as your divine complement to you, seeing them as their own person in their own power, seeing them as their own person with their own path and destiny and identity. It's like a man, an unhealthy, unstable man, cannot fathom that, cannot get with that, because that's been the majority of what we've seen throughout history. Our ancestors lived that life where they couldn't open a bank account unless their husband approved, couldn't work, couldn't vote. Some of them still, in some countries, don't have those rights that American women have or other countries may have. You know what I mean? And we're not even going to add class and race into this, because that's another thing too. A whole nother level of oppression and spiritual oppression and trauma in the DNA and in the bloodline within itself. That's a whole nother thing. Like, but yeah, yeah. Whatever is happening in the spiritual plane, know that it happened in the spirit realm first. So what you see, there's nothing new under the sun. It's really not. But the future is woman. Like, and what I mean by that is you're going to see women in their rightful places. A woman was never meant to be in the background in the footstool. That's not how it works. At least not my ancestors. Like, back in the day, like, as far as our knowledge, the woman was just as revered as her king or as her pharaoh, because the whole science of what the woman represents, the whole womb, the whole ankh itself is a depiction of a vagina, of that space. And I believe it's also a mixture of a phallic symbol, which is why I said that that balance, it has to be that balance there, male and female. There is no one that is better than the other in that sense. It's like you have to come together as complements. You can't do this without the other, right? And not from a place of being desperate or being dependent upon another being, but more so being interdependent, if that makes sense. Like, I always say this, like a real strong man that knows how to put his woman in order. And when I say that, not from a place of like he's down talking her, he's disrespecting her, he's trying to discourage her, belittle her, but from a place of, no, you, if you my divine compliment, like, I can't have you out here in these streets looking crazy and disrespecting yourself or being out of order. They want to see you do better. But when you have a man that thinks that putting a woman in her place is telling her you're average at best, or what do you bring to the table other than your V word, um, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too dark, you're too nappy, or you're not this enough, you're not smart enough, you're not this. That's not a man. It's not the type of putting a woman in order that I'm talking about. Because a real woman wants a man that she can be like, oh, okay. Because, like, you could be, you know, in your stance and speak your truth and all of that without being, and I feel like some people don't allow women to speak because it comes across as being disrespectful. There's a way to speak your truth, say what you said in a way of not being disrespectful, but still at the same time having that balance between a man that's gonna be like, you know, I like all that spice and jazz that you got, but at the same time, you're wrong. Just as I feel like it's helpful for a man to also, because the woman is the helper as well. She is the oracle. She is a healer. She's a nurturer. So to take her advice is wise. She's a wise woman. That's why some men be like, she's the lady of the house, meaning like the woman, you take care of the house and the bills and all that, but the woman also makes it a home. So there's that level of respect there too. If she loves you, she's not going to have you out here looking crazy or looking stupid. What I mean by that, not just like physically, but just you as a person. And some men can't take that because it reminds them of everything that they're not, rather than saying, I'm going to rise to this. I'm not going to be intimidated by this woman's intelligence or her wisdom or her light. I'm inspired by it. That's a muse to me. Women were muses to many creative men back in the day, rather than looking at them and being like, let me tear her down. You ain't going to be nothing. Oh, your college degrees don't mean anything. No man wants a woman that makes more money than them and all this stuff. Like, you're a weak, you're weak. I'm sorry. You're weak. You're weak. Weak. And if a woman has a little bit something, those weak masculine energies, like they feed off of that. They take and take and take until they leave that woman with nothing. Like there's that too. But as far as this, all of this goes, like balance, harmony, it requires stepping out of the childish ways and into true manhood, for real. Like for real. Whether you're gay, whatever, or you're a straight male, male energy, period. There's a need for the masculine collective to evolve. And I feel like, yeah, there is. I love seeing those videos. I don't know if y'all ever seen them, but they have like, I think it's Queen Afua. Hopefully I'm saying the elder's name correctly. She made the Sacred Woman book. She has a retreat where, if I'm not mistaken, where she works with couples and also men to help them work through their traumas and stuff like that. It's very beautiful. That is what I'm talking about. Like, it requires work. It requires work. And what I mean by work, it doesn't mean like your career, your job only and alone, and that makes you a man of value because of your tax bag and how much money you got, and oh, I travel here, and because you have a passport. The passport bro shit is just embarrassing. But it doesn't mean that. That's not it. Like the flex is how do you love yourself? Like, are you a man that loves yourself? Do you value your own emotions, your own thoughts? Do you sit with yourself? Do you take accountability for yourself? How do you treat people as a whole? The deported bros, they better be careful. I'm telling you, like some of them I've been hearing is this is happening to some of them. Like some of them, this is what's going down. Some of them get robbed, some of them getting locked up, some of them is getting taken out of the planet. And I want women to hear this loud and clear, my sisters. Whether you are a black sister, if you are a Latina sister, I don't care. If you are a white sister, Asian, any, just whatever, what the fuck ever we are, right? I want y'all to hear this loud and clear. If you see red flags of any kind from a man, or they show you, they don't need to show you more than once. Maybe I'll give you grace for twice. They show you more than once or twice. I'm not more than twice, less than twice. We ain't gonna go over 3. We're gonna go 2. If they show you that they do not want you, they don't value you, they talking that crazy talk, get the hell away from them. Don't be like, oh well, I'm lonely, or he's my baby daddy. Get away from them, because these women that I'll be seeing on these news stories and stuff, there was red flags before they even got pregnant. There was red flags before they went on the first date, not to fuck with these men. You can tell when a man is crazy. Look at him in the eyes. Like the craziness is in the eyes. It never lies. Craziness is in the eyes. The vibe is off. They saying things that are red flags to you. Any type of level of immaturity there, you better run. Run. It's not worth it. There's too many men out here. And I just seen something today, and I totally agree with her. It was this book. I seen this woman share like a page from this book, and it says, when you're dating as a woman, don't hyper focus on one male. Allow yourself to, and this is me saying this, but be liked by multiple men. And what I mean by that is, before you start liking them, see who likes you first. Because I feel like some women make the mistake of liking or falling in love with a man that you haven't fully even gotten to know, and they're at a place where they're still trying to figure you out and figure out, do they really like you, and you've already invested all of your energy and hyper focus on this one person, rather than opening up your options to see who likes you, to where you can say to yourself, do I like him enough to get to know him? Like him before you love him. if that makes sense, or fall in love, because we can love people just from a natural place. Some of us, like as an empath, I feel like naturally we already have love in our heart for people that we just come across and we meet. Like we have that capacity. But like them before you fall in love with them genuinely, if you genuinely like them. But if you know you don't genuinely, because I can count on some fingers on some of my hands, on one of my hands, where I I won't say I fell in love, maybe fell into lust. It's more like it. Or fell in love with the idea of what I saw in them. Because you got to be careful too, as oracles or as spiritual seers, women, where you can see into the future. You can sense what this person, their genetic makeup, what they might be made of, and what, oh, I could see them doing this. And I see this quality in them. And if it's developed, and if it's this, and if it's that, don't get too much into that where you're, Lego blocks and you're putting them together and you're trying to, you don't got to do all of that. None of us are perfect. No, not by a long shot. But you can see when a person has a relationship with themselves, where they hold themselves accountable, where they are evolving and doing well with their life or making an effort to. Oh, not the Taliban. Girl, bye. That's not funny, but that's kind of scary. It's not a little scary. It's a lot of scary. That's bad. But that's what I was saying. Like this Three of Swords and Five of Wands energy, like these are people that are going to be a detriment to themselves to some capacity because they won't evolve. This Hermit card is like, I bet you, because I'm not even going to say I bet you $1,000,000 that men are getting the call to like evolve and to grow within themselves, because the whole collective as a whole, the whole world is going through that in their own way, their own spurts, their own level. It's happening as a world global collective. It's happening. So that Hermit card is like, it's time to figure out what is it? Why are you here? What's your existence? What's your purpose? Where do you want to be in life? Outside of going to the Dominican Republic and busting down a couple of prostitutes. So you can flex on YouTube and be like, see, I'm popping over here because I'm a lame in the US and I ain't getting no pussy over here. Anywho, on Wednesdays we wear pink looking asses. Regina George men. Like, anyway, so I feel like it's happening. Like, it's a call to that. But if you choose not, the Three of Swords and Five of Wands is your fate. If you choose to, you're going to have to cross that threshold. You're going to have to cross that bridge of dealing with your emotions, dealing with the depth and the core of yourself, your spirit, to get to that elevation and evolution into the King of Cups from the Knight of Cups. When I was a child, I thought as a child, right? You got to put down the play toys. You got to put down the Tonka trunks. You got to put down whatever you need to do to grow up, to level up within yourself, for yourself, not for you can flex for your boys online, or to shit on other women and make them feel, gaslighting them through your actions, or just to get women, there's more to the P than that. You got to show a little more reverence for the yoni, okay? Simp behavior is where you idolize sex so much where you don't have any self-control, to where you're spending all your money on one trip and you're stuck. You can't even get on Spirit Airlines. Like, you know what? Sorry. It's horrible. And these are things that men could live and learn from, but some of them won't because they're too prideful for that. They're still 9 years old. Some of them are stuck and regressed in an age group. They have not grown up. They don't want to. Some of them want to live out their years where they were a thought, and that was just like your life experience. That wasn't meant for you to stay stuck. You've been called to start businesses to help your community, or you've been called to steward a home or a family and a wife, but you don't do that. You're still out here chasing hoes. And that's why some of them are petties or pedos. They're going down to these countries where they can pick up young, I'm not even going to say it, child P words, paying for them because some of them are still like little boys in their mind. They're still teenage boys, some of them. So that's why they can identify with a young girl like that age. Um, they don't have no game to naturally be able to connect with a woman to where she would want to give up the yoni. So they have to pay for it. Yeah. But this is, I feel like, I didn't expect all of this. I thought it was going to go into like the pharaohs. But yeah, like some of these pharaohs, like y'all don't listen. But it's okay. Yeah. The Two of Cups. Yeah, this is what it's about. I'm telling you. And the Ace of Cups, ironically, has the Ankh on it as well. So that is the key. This is the key here. Unity. And it doesn't have to just be within like a romantic aspect, but being able to coexist together and work together. Truly work together. Some of y'all might say, well, there's women that work in power with men and all of that, but you don't really know how much power. Like, until everyone gets paid equally, then there's no debate with that. So this is what it's about. Yeah. Two of Cups, Ace of Cups at the top and the bottom of the deck. I'm gonna leave this alone because this is long-winded. But if you guys like it, I love it. Hmm. I don't know why I'm being drawn to the shark and this King of Cups and the boat. Yeah, some of y'all men need to stay away from overseas. Like if your intentions aren't right or you're not out there for work, like doing genuine things, you're out there um, playing with other people's lands and being disrespectful and stuff. You stay out of you. Because there's a shark in this water. Because this man is about to cross the sea. You see? And then the shark right here, and then there's a boat. Some, if you men are watching, because I know some of you do, and those that do, some of you are respectful, and some of you, of course, hate me, and that's okay. You hate yourself. You don't hate me. You hate yourself. But that's okay. But anyway, if you are a passport bro, as y'all want to call it, and you're going overseas to be a scoundrel, I don't know, to be a perv, to be a cheapskate, to be a deadbeat daddy, y'all better be careful because what you're doing, in all actuality, I don't know where like some of these places that you're going, if these are like sacred places that you're going to, or there's some type of like certain lands that you're dwelling in these countries, like a specific like location, like a city in those. Like let's say you go to like Mexico, right? And you're going to Brazil, and there's like the sacred land that you're going on, or the whole space itself. There's something that you're doing that you're crossing boundaries because your intentions are not right. There's a difference between foreign relations in a sense of, because we're all human at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters essentially, right? So where you're stationing, you're not stationing it as your true home. You're going over there to invade the space, to prostitute that land, prostitute its women. You're making a mockery in some sense. I don't know how to explain this. Like, y'all better be careful. I'm telling you. Like, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Because some of this is like dangerous energy or territory that you're going into, not just literally because there's a lot of like um, cartels and stuff, not just for that specific thing, but on a spiritual level. Yep, colonizers. You're modern day colonizers. You want to like talk about white men being colonizers and stuff like that. For some of you, some of them passport bros are white men and other races. But what I'm seeing now, and it's coming to light, because some of the Caucasians that colonize, their spirit is in them by nature because they're ancestors, some of them, and some of these Negroids as well. Some of your ancestors were colonizers, and you're picking up the same thing. You're repeating history, and for some of you, you're cursing yourself by doing it. You're still carrying the sins of your ancestors instead of working through that ancestral karma. Y'all repeating the same shit. You're repeating history. You're going over there, leaving children without fathers, and you're doing too much. It's going to catch up to y'all real quick. And what's sad about it is God is making a mockery out of all of you on YouTube and on TikTok or wherever else you're putting all on out on Front Street. Like, look at me, I'm out on a date with a Korean chick, and you know what I mean? Like, oh, we ain't gonna get on the celebrities with that. Yeah, some of that stuff. Like, yeah, like we all have to answer to something, and if we don't, like, sometimes spirit will make a mockery out of us to chastise us so that we can grow as a people, and some don't even get the chance to do that because they lead themselves to an early grave, some of them, or into a prison cell, which might as well be a living coffin where you're pretty much just in there and that's it for you. So be careful with that, I guess I could say, like, because I know some of y'all hate black women, so coming out of my mouth, it might not be much. But if you could take anything from this, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So we seen that. Y'all can say what y'all want about the whole Kevin Samuels thing. That was definitely, I feel like, divine judgment for real, because he started his content out as trying to like help men like better themselves, and that wasn't selling, that wasn't getting enough views. So making a mockery out of women and humiliating women for clicks and views, he sold his soul right there when he did that and tore women down and um, spoke against women's desires and dreams, and spoke death into their confidence, or try to, for some of them. That was him selling his soul, in a sense. In essence, that's what he was doing, or forfeiting his moral code or his purpose that he was called to, because he wanted notoriety. He gave into the the demonic nature of wanting to be glorified, to be famous. And he created a whole bunch, not even created, he just called out the sickness in some of these men that think the same. And he started a movement, but what this movement is going to do is just going to expose the toxicity in those types of men. And you see some men correcting these men that have sense, real men. You see them correcting these men and calling them out. But some of them are going to take heed and some of them are not, because they have like the spirit of pride in them and they're not going to do it. They don't want to do the work. And some of them, like I said, they hate themselves. Like, they do. They hate their very existence. It's like, and I'll say this and I'll get off because I'm doing too much. I can only speak for my community because I'm a part of it, but I also see the spiritual warfare in it. So the average black person is not wealthy. They may never see wealth in their lifetime. So when it comes to the spiritual aspect of it, the trauma that our ancestors faced 400 years plus through slavery, and not just, some people just think we were out there picking cotton and getting whipped. No, it was way more trauma than that. It was so much pain that could kill a person's spirit and soul. So for the man, they really broke the man down to nothingness, to almost effeminizing them, right? So they fought in the war. This is what I believe. This is what I'm getting. They fought in the war so that they can gain that manhood back and to gain that validation. And they were working with Stockholm syndrome. So I'm seeking the approval of my slave master, the white man. I want to prove to you that I'm worthy. See, I'm a real man. See, they continue to do that throughout history. They still do it. So, but they can't fully get that manhood back. Some of them have not been able to fully gather that. So they hate their existence. So being birthed into poverty, being birthed in the hood, or not being able to have, that's why they look up to rappers. They look up to athletes. They look up to entertainers of any sort that have money, because it's like, you're that hero for me. You've made it. Even if that means your validation from the world as a black person or as a black woman is based off of your athleticism, your ability to dance, your ability to, make music, or your body shape, whatever else that is admired, but at the same time don't really love you as people. Some people don't really love black. They love what we produce, right? So you're trying to find your validation in performance and all of that, right? So all of this is carried in our DNA from our ancestors. So instead of rising to the occasion and saying, like, I'm going to do the ancestor work, because a lot of us have been called to do the ancestor clearing and healing work in this lifetime, so we won't repeat these same cycles. We're being called to it, right? We're the generation. Sis, what would you said, it was generation baby boomer to millennials, I think you said. And that's based off of astrology, but even spiritually, I feel like when you're called, you either rise to the occasion, or when you're chosen, you're chosen. And a lot of us are chosen to clear out generational trauma from predates, like I said, like 400 years plus, this stuff has been going on. So going back to the whole black community thing, and I kind of lost my train of thought what I was getting. Your value and your worth, you have to fight to find that in you, because the ancestors before you, they knew who they were. They knew what they was working with. Before some of us got into the Atlantic slave trade and all of that, and all of the trauma and all of the breaking down of the soul and the spirit, but the soul can never fully be stripped from you. You have to find it. It's like the lion. You got to find that strength inside of you. Nobody's going to hand you or give you a damn thing in this life. They're not. Especially as a man. No. No. So the hating, that's what I was getting at. Thank you, Spirit. The hating of your very existence goes back to the trauma that your bloodline faced, and feeling like you're born into a unfortunate or misfortunate circumstance in life. Well, why don't I have the ability to do what I want, like the white boys do, or the white men do, or even the women get more than we do? And instead of getting into that place of pessimism, like some of them do, this is not the majority of black men, or all, I should say, but no matter where they are on the planet, whether they're in America, whether they're in Brazil, whether they're in Haiti, it doesn't matter. That pain and trauma is still there to an extent. I do believe that the American slave experience was way far worse than any experience, but that fight inside of you, you have to find that on your own. And some, they don't have it in them to do it. Some of them, they don't want to do it. They don't want to be here. That's why I believe some of them hate that when you hear this, and this is not me being divisive towards any other race that may be watching or anything, but I have to say this. I have to. When you hear black men say that black women are anything but the child of God, like they're just the scum of the earth. They read that whole like ideology of just hatred towards black women. Essentially, they hate the black womb that they came out of, and even more in depth of that, not just because of the blackness, but because of the trauma that they experience. Like, why would you birth me here? And it's almost like when we get upset with God and we say, why did you bring me here? Like when, when we get in that little pessimistic state, or why am I going through this, God? And it's this upset that you have. So like the physical portal that they come through, it's like, they say they love their mom and their grandma, but if you can sit there and say that I don't date black women or they're ugly, and it's okay to like what you like from a genuine place of you connect who you connect with. That's why I don't really believe that people can have this preference for only one race, because it's not natural to just say this is the only standard of beauty for me. And in a sense, I can understand it on another level as well, because we all been programmed all over the world to believe that the most beautiful, the most powerful, the most desirable person in this world is a white man or white woman. And that's just the truth. Y'all can hate me for saying it, but it's the truth. We've been programmed to believe that that is the standard. Now you have some cultures that still stick to their traditions, and all they do see is beauty in their women. Some of them, it's based off of the certain, tribal prints that they have on their bodies, or the jewelry pieces, or their weight, or something that's distinctive to their culture, versus a race of people as a whole and say, that's the only standard of beauty for me. That's the programming. That's a matrix programming. And I'm going to say this too. Don't get mad at me, y'all. White folks, don't be mad. It's all coming from love. Some of you guys, like, you see the programming. You see the lack of justice and how the scale is not tipped in everyone's favor, but yours in a sense. As long as you're comfortable with it being in your position, you're a part of the problem. Your ancestors have debts too, And I hate when people say this, and I have to be honest. I hate when I hear this. Some of you guys, I feel like you mean well, and some of you know what you're saying. Where you go and you say, oh, that was my ancestors. I can't help if they had slaves. Everybody has generational karma to clear. And if you're truly about that spiritual life, I'm sure your soul has told you, you got to deal with that part of your spirit or your ancestry where they had slaves, where they hated black people. And you might be clearing it through making genuine friendships with people of other ethnicities or standing up for them. My little brother, one of his best friends is white, and he's known him since he was in grade school. He's a part of our family, basically. And he was in tears when me and my brother tried to explain to him that, yeah, just because you might be poor, a poor white man, you still have more advantages than my brother. Even if my brother is more qualified than you for a loan, they're still going to give you the loan over him before they would give him the loan. We had to explain how the scales are not tipped fairly. It's not. Until you live the black experience, you can't just value what someone is saying and discredit them and say, oh, that's not true. Oh, there's a black president. Like, stop. And I'm not even going to get into the president and how he's was even able to be a president. Like, we're not going to get into that. It's his bloodline. It's in his bloodline. Has nothing to do with him being black itself. It's what's in his blood. So he wouldn't be able to be in that if it wasn't for that. So anyway, I'm going to skip over that. But anyway, to say that when we told him this, he cried. And I was like, I was trying to console him, but still at the same time, I tried to understand like what he was like, because I think it was a shock to him to hear it and really process it and see like it's true. And he said something that really stood out to me when he said that one day when him and my brother were at the store, and the guy, one of the clerks in the store, I think they were at Walgreens or something, like a drugstore, and the man was following him around, and his friend stood up for him and said, why are you following him, right? Or something along the lines of that. And I said, well, you noticed it and you addressed it. I wouldn't say most, but some white people wouldn't do that. They would notice and see the difference, but they wouldn't speak up for their friend. I can't tell you how many times, like, Would I would be out with white girlfriends and I would see the different treatment that I would get versus what they would get, and they would say nothing. Nothing. So that in a sense is like you're cowardly or you're not taking accountability or you're comfortable with the white supremacy thing. It exists. Like, be real about it. Be real. Some of your ancestors, they got karma on them too. So if you're genuinely a human being or you're for the people, that type of stuff will boil your anybody's blood to see any human being being treated differently than the next person. It just would naturally do that to you. I don't know about anybody else, but it naturally would do that. So until we deal with, because it all goes back to the self. See, everything in this reality is a reflection. So your rites of passage, your journey through the soul, you're going to go through these different experiences. So like I said, if you're truly doing your spiritual work, you're clearing out generational karma. If you are a Caucasian being and you might have colonizers in your family that destroyed lands, whatever else they did, or had slaves, caused the trauma. I'm telling you, some of the stuff was some wicked shit that you probably would not even want to claim your grandfather, your grandmother, whoever, your uncle, whatever. If you knew what they did to people, you probably would have hatred in your heart for these people. The things that they did, I can't even describe. The horrendous things that like that we went through, our ancestors went through, and some of that is in our veins. Still, we're still clearing that out. We're still making peace with that. So naturally in your blood that's there, you're going to go through that process where you're clearing that out of your bloodline. Because your kids could have a thing where they don't like black kids, or they just see a black kid on the street and might want to beat him up and not know why, because that evilness that your grandfather was doing is still there. Like, it goes deep, y'all. I'm telling you. Like, I'm telling you. Because that, and some people, and I used to think this too, that racism was taught to children. It is, yes, to an extent, but some of it I feel like it's just in people's DNA. Like, you don't understand how a child could be violent in the way that they are. Like, they grew up in a good home and this and that, but they go to school with a gun and they're popping people off, and maybe there was no reason to do that. That's because there's something in the DNA that's in the bloodline. That's why you have to be careful of who you sleep with, who you have kids with as well, because you don't know what type of stuff their ancestors endured or what their ancestors did either, or agreed to, or whatever, right? Yeah. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it. I'm telling you. Detectable Negro. Ooh. Oh my God, gross. I think I heard of that in school. And they don't really teach Black history like that anymore, or just the history of America in detail that they used to when I was in school. Unless you take college courses or something, I don't know, but they don't teach that like that anymore. Um, the girl, I'm gonna leave it at that. Yeah, and the not only that, sister, you open another can of worms. Like, as far as the Native American trauma as well. Okay, we're not gonna talk about the $5 Indians. The colonization just goes deep. So rather than getting upset and getting offended, because that spirit is probably getting offended in you, and that's where you need to rebuke it. Because you feel offended and saying, well, I didn't do it. That was my ancestors. You are your ancestors. You're an evolved enough soul where you could say to yourself, I don't subscribe to that. Forgive my ancestors, or whatever way that you work with your ancestors, or how you clear your generational karma, that's up between you and God. But if that is boiling inside of you, it's because something's being triggered. Rebuke whoever, I don't know, the granddaddy, whoever it was, like, release it. Like alcoholism and stuff like that, and the Native American culture and all, there's so much trauma there too because of what their ancestors endured. It's not just coming from stories that their parents are telling them and hand me down stories. No, it's in their blood. That's a scientific fact. You can look that up and see that certain traumas can be passed down through the mother's womb. It's just a continuation until you nip it in the bud. You purify your bloodline spiritually. All right, y'all. I'm gonna leave it at that. Okay, we all have work to do in our own ways, in different ways, and as a human collective, right? Just period. Period. I don't know why something with the blood in the Nile in the book of Exodus where Moses caused the blood to, yeah, it's something with that. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Not right now, at least. It's not clear to me what that means, but I'm going to leave this alone. It's all love, you guys. I say all of this out of love. You don't have to necessarily agree with what I'm saying, but I wasn't expecting all of that to come out. I wasn't. It's not natural. It's not spiritually natural, I should say, for people to hate others, especially those that didn't do anything to you. It's one thing maybe if somebody offended you, hurt you, where you can kind of garner or stir up that feeling of hatred, but to hate someone for no apparent reason, something as low as a person's skin color, is demonic. It's evil, for real. It's nothing but it's nothing but that. I read in this book that I have, this deliverance book, and deliverance meaning like spiritual deliverance of spirits and demonic takeover, whatever, demonic influences or spirits within a person. And in the book, he was talking about an experience where he had to cast out a spirit of racism out of this woman. It's real. That's not natural. It's not of God, like a source creator God. It's not. It's not. Right. We can live to just be the colorful rainbow of people that we are, be ourselves and have our own cultures and respect one another without the hatred. We don't have to be the same. We don't have to all look the same, talk the same, like the same things, listen to the same music, like the same, have the same views or life experiences in order to still find commonality and just in the simple fact that we're human or spiritual beings. And I understand I'm not a child where I think that everybody in this world is born good, but some of it I do believe is in the bloodline. It's not natural to hate a race of people. It's just not natural. I don't care what y'all say, that's not natural. It's evil. It really is. Do I agree with everything with the LGBT community? Do I believe, agree with children becoming trans? No, I don't. But I don't hate them, though. That's different. I have gay family members. I don't love them any less. They're still my family. They're still my blood. I may not agree with every decision that they make or how they live their life or what they do with their sexuality. It's none of my business. I just want y'all to be safe. I want you to be careful. And for children, I feel like children, they need to be children. They don't know nothing. That's a big commitment to say, I'm going to live my life as this, and you haven't even lived life yet. Or to say, I'm attracted to this sex. Like, baby, you 5. Like, what are you talking about? If you're awakened sex at that age, there's something wrong with that in itself, and that's a whole nother topic. We ain't getting into all of that either, but that's a whole nother thing. teen pregnancies and all that stuff is generational. Some kids, and I'm gonna go back to the slavery, and in other countries there's different reasons why they mated young kids with grown men and having babies for their own twisted reasons or whatever, or to produce more slaves or whatever they were doing. That's trauma. And I'm gonna circle it right back to the swarm scene where the first few minutes of the show you see Chloe Bailey getting her back blown out by the other dude. That in itself is like slave porn to me. That's how I seen it. That's how I saw it. I was like, that's what I got from that. It was so much filth. Like if y'all just like would take the time, if you think slavery wasn't that big of a deal and you want to try to downplay it and say, well, the Holocaust happened. Nobody's saying that the Holocaust didn't happen or that it doesn't matter and that people should not be affected or hurt by that either. But you can't downplay that experience either, slavery. And you have to look into that. If you care, look into the things that they did. It was horrific. I can't even describe. It was so inhumane to the point where I don't even know if I could live through some of the things that my ancestors or any of our ancestors lived through. I don't think I'll be able to. I don't think so. They broke those people spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. So I ain't trying to hear it. They're related to each other. Maryland was a breeding slave state. Wow. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah. Oh. Is any of it Georgetown? I don't know why I just heard Georgetown. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's what you're picking up or something with Georgetown. But yeah, I said I'm gonna leave this alone because I feel like this can continue to go on and on and on. But all love to everybody. I send love and peace and just revelation that whatever was triggered, that we bring some of this energy into to balance, restoration. And before it gets to that light, you have to walk through that dark tunnel. So some of this might be a little bit heavy. Wow. Oh shit. Yeah, I heard Georgetown. Yeah. Yeah. So if you can, you guys, this is just a little assignment for some of you, like wherever you are, if you live in the desert, if you're guided to go to like certain places, it might be native land. You can do some type of ceremony to, however you're led. Like be careful with this. Like you don't want to disrespect anybody's land, but something with like peace, or what's the right word? Um, soul's peace. Something with, especially if it has buildings built on top of it. Like I bless the souls here. Um, something like that. If you live somewhere near, I'm getting like the woods or the country, there might be certain landmarks that you're led to go to, and same thing, bless those spaces, that the souls have peace and rest. If your ancestors are attached to that, you can release the trauma. And if your ancestors are a part of the trauma or gave the trauma to those people, same thing. Look up the old tribe, the tribe man from 1777. Yeah. If you live near the ocean, or I want to say like not like the oceans like California or Florida per se, but because Florida is very vast, it has different lands, and California has deserts as well. So it just really depends. But I'm getting more so like the Caribbean islands or rainforest, anywhere where you know there's ancestral land. There's something about blessing those spaces. I don't know, just if you feel led to do that. And this could be your ancestral work, whether it's relieving the trauma, releasing the trauma, or if your ancestors caused the trauma to others, do the work as well with that if you're led to. And don't be afraid to do this. You're called to it. You got it. You got this if you're led to. Somebody's ancestors may want rainwater. These could be your Native American ancestors, and for some of you, it could be like ancestors that are that live in the or was or from the West Indies. I'm hearing. So if it rains anytime soon, or you might happen to have some rainwater collected, there's some type of work with rainwater. Some of your ancestors resonate with fire, or they could have died via fire. There's something about that as well, or burning something for them. Mm, yeah, that's all I'm getting. There's war grounds or something too that might resonate with some of you. Pray for the soldiers, something with that too. I don't know. War grounds. Mm. Cold War, I just heard. Some of your ancestors fought in the Cold War. I don't know. I'm hearing that. Yeah. Yeah, especially like with those the Aboriginal ancestors, nature is a big thing to them. Very big. Yeah, that's all I'm getting. I feel like every time I say I'm done, it just doesn't stop. It just doesn't. But yeah, good point, sis. Like the ocean, cleanups and volunteering around the neighborhoods. Um, some with church. I don't know. Something with churches too. I don't know. Somebody there's like a old store that's I don't know. It's an old store, and I want to say like it's owned by what am I seeing? So old. I want to say like old market slash liquor store. I don't know why I'm saying this. For some of you, like there's an owner there, and I feel like he's an indigenous male, or it could be. I don't know why I'm saying this because it kind of feels like Mexican energy, but also native energy too. So I don't know. Aztec maybe. I don't know. I'm seeing it. It kind of looks Mexican. I don't know. There's something with that too. I don't know. Um, I heard pay to visit, seeing a tip, tipping somebody, tipping the owner, or tipping them with kindness. Something where you're. It doesn't have to be like a literal, uh, like money. It could be both, of course. I'm gonna leave it at that. But I just seen that corner store. No, it kind of looks like a liquor store slash like little convenience store. It's old. Like it almost looks like it doesn't have paint. It looks like cement type of building. It looks old to me. Very old. Like it's been there for some years. So yeah, I don't know if that resonates with anyone. I'm kind of getting like it's in a um like I don't want to say like a poverty, like yeah, but kind of like in the hood maybe, or an old neighborhood. Some of you are familiar with it already, or you're going to pass by it. All right. Let's close this thing out. I thank my divine team, the Most High God. I thank you, my ancestors, my celestial divine team, my angels, anybody here that shows me love and has prayed for me, sent me peace, anything of kindness and love. I appreciate you, and I thank you guys as well. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. Yes, we got this. All right, y'all. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're watching during the live, you watch post a live, you're able to get through this, or you might have to like watch it later or watch it in spurts or something. It's all good. Take what you need. Only take what you need. So yeah, I see you guys. Peace, love. Enjoy the rest of your day, your night, your evening, wherever you are in the world watching this. Mercury is in Taurus. Oh, well, I'll be dang. That makes a lot of sense. All right. And it's Mars Day too. Ain't today? Yeah, Tuesday's Mars Day, if I'm not mistaken. So, hey. I didn't mean to drill people too harshly. I hope it wasn't too much, you know. But yeah. Y'all be blessed. Take care. And I'll talk to y'all when I talk to you or when I see you. Peace.